Chris hummed a soft tune as he steered his old, trusty car down the busy city streets. Rain dotted the windshield, blurring the colorful lights of shops and houses. For years, this car had been his office, his way of making sure he and his sweet daughter, Lily, had everything they needed. Every day, Chris worked hard as a delivery driver, zipping from one place to another, carrying food and packages to people's doors. It wasn't an easy job. The hours were long, the pay wasn't always enough, and sometimes he felt very tired. But one look at Lily's bright smile made every single effort worth it. Lily was his whole world. She was a little girl with big, sparkling eyes and a laugh that sounded like tiny bells. Being a single dad meant Chris had to be both a mom and a dad, a cook, a homework helper, and a bedtime storyteller, all rolled into one. He wouldn't have it any other way. Even on days when his pockets felt thin, he always found a way to make Lily feel special and loved. He dreamed of giving her everything, even if for now, everything meant hot meals, warm hugs, and silly jokes to chase away the worries of the world. The calendar page finally turned to Lily's birthday. Chris had been counting down the days almost as eagerly as she had. This year, he wanted to do something extra special. Not just a homemade cake and presents at home, though those were lovely too. He wanted to take her out to a real restaurant, one with cloth napkins and soft lighting, a place where they usually only peeked in the window. He knew it would stretch his budget thin, maybe even a little past thin, but the thought of Lily's excited face made him determined. He'd been saving every extra dollar, tucking it away in an old coffee tin hidden in his closet. He'd skipped his own morning coffee, packed lunches instead of buying them, and even took a few extra late-night deliveries. It wasn't much, but he hoped it would be enough for one special evening. He imagined Lily's delight as she chose something fancy from a menu, feeling grown up and celebrated. This wasn't just about dinner. It was about showing Lily that she was worth every sacrifice, every extra mile driven, every penny saved. He wanted to give her a memory that would shine brightly, a reminder of how much her dad loved her. The evening finally arrived, and Chris felt a mix of excitement and nerves. He helped Lily into her favorite sparkly dress, and together they walked hand in hand to the Gilded Spoon, a restaurant that felt fancy just by its name. As they stepped inside, Lily gasped, her eyes wide with wonder at the soft glow of the chandeliers and the gentle clinking of silverware. She giggled as she settled into her plush seat, feeling like a princess. "This is amazing, Daddy," she whispered, her voice full of pure joy. Seeing her so happy made Chris's heart swell. He smiled, pushing down the little flutter of worry about the prices on the menu. He knew he had saved, but a quick glance at the elegant paper made him feel a tiny bit anxious. Still, Lily's happiness was worth more than any worry. He watched her excitedly look at the menu, pointing out dishes with funny names. He helped her choose a fancy-sounding pasta, and he ordered a simple meal for himself. For tonight, all that mattered was Lily's bright smile and the magic of her birthday dinner. The birthday dinner was everything Chris had hoped for. Lily had laughed, told stories, and declared her pasta the best food ever. They even shared a small, delicious dessert, a tiny cake with a single candle that Lily blew out with a wish. The whole evening felt magical, a bubble of happiness in their busy lives. Chris felt warm and content watching his daughter's glowing face. Then the waiter arrived, placing a small leather folder on their table. It was time for the bill. Chris's stomach did a little flip, but he took a deep breath, reminding himself of all the extra deliveries and saved pennies. He opened the folder, his eyes scanning the numbers. He pulled out his wallet, carefully counting the crisp bills and loose change he had tucked away. His fingers fumbled, counting once then twice. A cold knot formed in his chest. It wasn't enough. He was short, not by a lot, but enough to make his heart pound with sudden fear. The magical bubble of their evening popped, leaving him with a sinking feeling. Chris felt his face grow hot. He glanced at Lily, who was happily drawing on a napkin, completely unaware of his sudden panic. He couldn't let her see him like this, not on her birthday. He folded the bill and placed his almost enough money on top, trying to act normal. When the waiter returned, Chris cleared his throat, his voice barely a whisper. "Excuse me," he began, his cheeks burning. I seem to be a little short. I'm so sorry, I miscalculated. He pushed the money forward slightly, feeling a wave of shame wash over him. His heart sank, heavy as a stone. This was supposed to be a perfect night, and now he was causing trouble, feeling like a failure. He imagined the waiter's annoyed look, the stares from other diners. He wished the floor would swallow him whole. He stammered, trying to explain that he was a delivery driver that he had saved, but it just wasn't quite enough. The words felt clumsy and hollow, making the embarrassment even worse. At a small table nearby, a woman named Sarah was enjoying her own quiet dinner. She had a book open, but her eyes often drifted around the room, taking in the soft hum of conversation and the happy atmosphere. She noticed the father and daughter at the next table. The little girl's bright smile had caught her eye earlier. Now she saw the father, Chris, looking troubled. His shoulders were hunched, and his voice was very low as he spoke to the waiter. Sarah didn't mean to listen in, but the restaurant was quiet enough that a few of Chris's whispered words drifted her way. Short, miscalculated, saved. Her gaze sharpened, seeing the flush on his face and the way his hand trembled slightly when he pushed the money forward. She saw the waiter nod, a polite but slightly impatient look on his face. Sarah understood right away what was happening. Her heart went out to Chris. It wasn't pity she felt, not exactly. It was more like a pang of understanding, a recognition of someone trying their best and facing a tough moment. She saw the little girl still happily drawing, and a quiet thought began to form in Sarah's mind. As Chris mumbled his apologies, feeling smaller and smaller with each word, a gentle voice broke through his embarrassment. "Excuse me," Sarah said, stepping quietly towards their table. Chris looked up, startled, his face still red. He hadn't even noticed her before. "Please, don't worry about it," Sarah continued, offering a kind smile. She pulled out her own wallet and before Chris could even fully understand what was happening, handed a $20 bill to the waiter. "I'll cover the rest of their bill." Chris's jaw dropped a little. He stared at her, then at the money, then back at her. His mind was a jumble of shock and confusion. "Oh no, you don't have to do that," he stammered, trying to protest, but his voice lacked any real force. He couldn't believe this was happening, a complete stranger just stepping in and fixing his mess. He felt a mix of intense relief and a fresh wave of embarrassment. Lily looked up, her drawing forgotten, her eyes blinking in confusion at the exchange. Chris felt a rush of different feelings all at once. Relief washed over him, a warm wave chasing away the cold fear that had gripped his chest. But right after relief came a strange mix of deep gratitude and a prickly awkwardness. He wasn't used to people helping him this way. He was the one who usually helped others, delivering their meals, ensuring their comfort. To be on the receiving end, especially in front of his daughter, felt strange and a little uncomfortable. "Thank you," he managed to say, his voice still a bit shaky. That's incredibly kind of you. I really appreciate it." He tried to meet Sarah's gaze, but his eyes kept darting away. He wanted to say more, to explain how much this meant, how much he had tried, but the words got stuck. He felt like he should offer to pay her back right away, but he couldn't. The thought made his cheeks burn again. He just stood there, a grateful, embarrassed mess, clutching Lily's small hand. Sarah sensed Chris's mix of feelings, his gratitude fighting with his discomfort. She offered him a warm, gentle smile. "Please don't feel awkward," she said softly, her voice kind. "It's not about pity, not at all." She looked at Lily, who was now curiously looking up at her, then back at Chris. "I just saw how happy she was, how much you wanted to make this night special for her." She paused, her eyes meeting Chris's, and there was a deep understanding in them. "The way you look at her, the effort you put in, that's truly wonderful. Any parent would understand wanting to give their child the world. I just wanted to help you keep that magic going for her birthday. It's admirable, Chris, what you do for your daughter." Her words were like a balm, easing the sting of his embarrassment. It wasn't charity, it was recognition. She saw past his momentary struggle to the heart of why he was there. Chris felt a warmth spread through him, different from the earlier flush of shame. He finally met her gaze properly, a genuine, heartfelt thank you shining in his eyes. As the waiter took the payment, now complete thanks to Sarah, Chris carefully gathered their things. Lily, her birthday spirits restored, chattered happily about her pasta. Chris turned to Sarah, a genuine, warm smile replacing his earlier blush. "Really, thank you again," he said, his voice stronger this time, full of sincere thanks. "That meant more than you know. It saved her birthday." Sarah smiled back. "You're very welcome," she replied softly. "She's a lovely girl. You're a good dad, Chris." "I try," he chuckled, feeling lighter than he had all evening. "I'm Chris, by the way." "Oh, that's Sarah," she responded, extending a hand. Her handshake was firm and warm. They talked for a brief moment longer, just a few friendly words about the restaurant and the evening. It wasn't a long chat, but in that short exchange, Chris felt a connection, a sense of kindness that went beyond the simple act of paying a bill. He carried that feeling with him as he and Lily left the restaurant, the memory of Sarah's understanding gaze and gentle words staying with him long after the lights of the Gilded Spoon faded behind them. The memory of Sarah's kindness stayed with Chris. He couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to properly thank her, not just with a quick thank you at the restaurant. He thought about her words, how she saw his love for Lily, and it made him feel truly seen. For a few days he wrestled with how to find her. He didn't even know her last name. Then an idea sparked. He remembered the waiter who had seen the whole exchange. Chris decided to try his luck. He went back to the Gilded Spoon during a quiet afternoon, hoping to catch the same waiter. Luck was on his side. He explained the situation, and the waiter, remembering the kind act, agreed to pass along a message. Chris wrote a short note, expressing his deep gratitude and politely asking if Sarah would be willing to meet for coffee sometime so he could properly thank her. He left his phone number, not expecting much, but hoping. To his surprise, a couple of days later, his phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. He answered, his heart doing a little jump. It was Sarah. She sounded friendly and agreed to meet him for coffee that Saturday. A simple thank you was not enough for Chris. He needed to show her his sincere appreciation. Saturday morning arrived, bright and clear. Chris felt a flutter of nerves as he walked into the cozy coffee shop, but Sarah's warm smile quickly put him at ease. They ordered their coffees, and Chris started by pouring out his heartfelt thanks, explaining again how much her kindness had meant to him and Lily. "Honestly, Sarah, you saved Lily's birthday," he said, looking at her directly this time, no longer feeling the sting of embarrassment. "I can't tell you how much I appreciate it." Sarah waved it off gently. "It was nothing, truly. I was glad to help. Besides," she added with a twinkle in her eye, "I remember what it's like to try and make magic happen on a budget." As they talked, the conversation flowed easily. Chris found himself sharing stories about Lily, about his delivery job, and even some of his dreams for the future. Sarah, in turn, told him about her work as a librarian, her love for old books, and her own experiences. They discovered they both loved hiking, enjoyed cooking simple meals, and believed in helping others when they could. It wasn't just about the bill anymore. It was about finding someone who listened, who understood, and whose company felt surprisingly comfortable. What started as a thank you turned into a wonderful chat, revealing that they had much more in common than just that one evening at the restaurant. Their coffee date turned into another, and then another. Chris and Sarah found themselves looking forward to their conversations, easily losing track of time as they talked about everything and nothing. Chris felt a lightness he hadn't known in years, a comfort in sharing his life with someone who truly listened and understood. Soon, it felt natural to introduce Sarah to Lily. Chris was a little nervous, as Lily was the most important person in his life and her opinion mattered deeply. But he needn't have worried. Lily, with her open heart, took to Sarah right away. Sarah had a gentle way with children, telling funny stories from the library and helping Lily build amazing castles out of blocks. Lily would ask Chris, "Is Sarah coming over today?" or "Can Sarah read me a story?" Her fondness for Sarah grew with each visit, filling their little home with even more warmth and laughter. Watching them together, Chris's heart swelled. It felt right, like a missing piece had quietly, gently clicked into place. As weeks turned into months, Chris and Sarah's friendship deepened, growing like a beautiful garden. Their meetings became more frequent, filled with shared laughter and quiet moments of understanding. Chris found himself thinking about Sarah even when she wasn't around, a warm feeling blossoming in his chest whenever her name crossed his mind. He loved how she listened, how she made Lily giggle, and how she saw the good in everything. He started to realize that his feelings for Sarah were growing stronger, turning into something more than just friendship. It was a gentle, hopeful kind of love, built on respect and shared joy. He saw the way her eyes sparkled when she talked about a new book at the library or a funny story Lily had told. He felt a deep connection to her, a sense of belonging he hadn't experienced in a very long time. Sarah, too, felt a change. Chris's kindness, his unwavering love for Lily, and his quiet strength drew her in. She loved his easy smile and the way he made her feel truly valued. She found herself smiling more, her days brighter just knowing Chris and Lily were a part of them. It became clear, without needing many words, that their hearts were quietly, gently falling for each other. It was funny how life worked. That embarrassing, stomach-dropping moment at Lily's birthday dinner, the one Chris wished he could erase from his memory, had become the unlikely start of something truly special. Who would have thought that a short bill and a kind stranger would lead to this? Chris often looked back at that night, not with shame anymore, but with a quiet wonder. The fear he felt then had made way for a deep gratitude, a thankfulness for Sarah's unexpected generosity. It wasn't just about the money she paid. It was about the understanding she showed, the light she brought into their lives. What began as an awkward, stressful evening had blossomed into the most beautiful surprise. It wasn't just a simple act of kindness anymore. It was the very first chapter in Chris and Sarah's love story. A story that was still being written, filled with warmth, shared dreams, and the joyful sound of Lily's laughter, now echoed by Sarah's. Life took on a new, vibrant color for Chris, Lily, and Sarah. Their home, once just Chris and Lily's, now buzzed with the shared energy of a happy family. Chris and Sarah built their life together on the strong foundation of that unexpected kindness, weaving gratitude into the fabric of their everyday. They often spoke of that night at the Gilded Spoon, always with a laugh and a shake of their heads, marveling at how a moment of stress had brought them together. Lily adored Sarah, who became not just a friend but a loving stepmom, always ready with a story or a gentle hug. Chris no longer carried the heavy weight of doing it all alone. He had Sarah by his side, sharing worries and joys, making every day brighter. Their love story, born from an awkward moment and a generous heart, grew stronger with each passing year. They faced life's challenges together, always looking forward with hope, knowing that even in the most surprising places, beautiful beginnings could bloom. Their family was a testament to kindness, connection, and the amazing way love finds its way into our lives.